Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us about hosting retreats. Today, you're going to be meeting Sarah Magnoni, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who fell in love with travel and made it her business. Welcome to the show, Sarah. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Suzy. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about all things travel and my business and midlife.
Oh, love it. Love it. I mean, who doesn't love travel? I guess not everybody, but many of us do enjoy it. I know we're going to have a great conversation about your midlife entrepreneur story. We're going to be talking about your business and what's going really well, and also what midlife issues might be getting in your way to some extent and may be challenging for you in your life as well as being a business owner. So let's get started with a nice, juicy question. How long have you been an entrepreneur? How old are you? And what do you do in the world? Tell me everything.
I have been an entrepreneur actually since 2003. But we won't go back that far. So, again, more full-time in 2019. And I started out as a coach and then continued to coach, really got into marketing because that had been my career, and then started shifting into travel and retreats. And I know we're going to talk about that in a second, but I am 52, almost 53. So.
I love knowing people's age, and I think, the listeners definitely love knowing it because it's a place where we could feel comfortable talking about our age. We're doing stuff, and age and aging is sometimes relevant. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess the next question is why were you so attracted to retreats and travel? Tell me a little bit about what was going in your life that brought you in that direction.
I actually think I held myself back from retreats and travel. I think that I chose what I thought I needed to do. I was coaching in my career and it just made sense. It was like, okay, I can just do this on my own. And then again, having that deep marketing background from corporate, that just seemed like another logical step. And then within that, I started hosting retreats. And I hired a travel agent actually for my first international retreat. And she did a great job. There's not really that she did anything wrong, but I remember thinking from my perspective of understanding what a retreat leader would want, that I could do it so much better. And at that time, my husband's actually a commercial airline pilot. So at that time I had talked to him and said, hey, I think maybe I should get, licensed as a travel agent. And it just didn't feel like the right time. That was a couple years ago. And then a year or so, it was just a little bit over a year ago, it popped up again. And I said, I think now is the time. And it was really eye-opening. It really changed so much about my business, the way I do business, because it's, as an agency owner, there are a lot of legalities and things that I wasn't used to doing. So my learning curve was a little steeper than I thought it was going to be.
Now, what popped up for you? The desire, or did you have a bumpy ride with another travel advisor? What made it so clear that this was the right time?
Passion. I love to travel. I grew up traveling. We went on probably about 4 vacations a year, 2 maybe small ones, long weekends, and then some bigger ones. That was just my life. I traveled, and then I married a commercial airline pilot. So I have been on multiple non-rev trips with him, overnights, different things. And then having 4 kids, I stopped. I didn't have the time. And actually, when they were younger, it was easier. But as they got into middle school and high school and they had their own things going on, there was no way. So quite a few times that I wanted to go travel, I couldn't, or I wanted to go on an overnight and I couldn't get out there. So when I started hosting retreats, again, I looked at it as a logical next step, but not that I was going to run a business around it. But as I was there, as I saw everything that I could do, how I could help clients, how I could organize these things. And I also love research. I loved researching my own locations and creating these experiences that was so much more than just showing up to a location, but what were the surprises I could put in place? What were the pops of luxury that they weren't expecting? Um, how can I make it so that everything is seamless? So the retreat leader's not worrying about when, you know, Jody is supposed to arrive on their flight because it was delayed. Like all of those things that a retreat leader typically or their assistant has to worry about. As a travel advisor, that's something that I offer is just a full coverage of everything. And that felt fun and exciting. And I remember thinking, I can make money doing something that is fun. Because I do like to geek out over marketing, don't get me wrong, but I can't say that I woke up thinking, oh, what can I research about marketing today? Or now when I go to bed at night, I'm, reading a book about travel or I'm listening to a book about a specific location and its history. It's just it's a different experience being a business owner that way.
Now, why do you think you said something very curious that I was curious about a few minutes ago when you said you kind of got in your own way, you made it take longer than it probably should have. So, I guess the way you're explaining it is you've had the desire for travel for a long time. What do you think blocked you from seeing it as a potential business?
The belief that I could do something fun and make money at it, that it
Mm.
needed to be hard.
Where do you think that thought came from? Was it
Oh
your corporate
goodness.
experience?
I think it's corporate experience, but also I love my dad, but I do think it probably came from my dad as well. I came from a family of farmers. He grew up on a farm. Very, like get up and do the chores. This is what you do, even on a weekend. Like you get up and these are all the things you can do. No playing until this is done. Um, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to put the work in. Like all of those kinds of sayings. It was just ingrained in me growing up in the Midwest, um, and I believed it. You have to work really hard, and I'm not saying that you don't still have to work hard, but you can actually have a lot of fun. It doesn't need to be marketing just because that had been my entire career. I didn't need to just offshoot off of that. I could
Right.
actually create something new because I'm very analytical, which is why the marketing aspect has worked really well for me. But I'm extremely creative, and I hadn't had a real creative outlet like I did until I started doing travel.
Oh, I love that. So many people are stuck when they think about what is my passion. Like the word passion seems to throw people because I've been told like it just feels big and scary and uh and you cracked it. And usually it's something related to something you've always gravitated toward. Like it when you get clarity about it and just give yourself permission to call it for what it is,
Yes.
things do seem to fit into place and it feels more in alignment with who you are. It's easier for you to be yourself, really.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so good.
absolutely.
So, as you know, on this show, we talk to women over 50 who are successful in business, and we talk about the challenges of being at this age and stage of life, a woman in the middle, and what challenges do you face in your business as a result of being a midlife gal?
Well, I would have thought that at this age, it still wouldn't be my kids. But
Good one.
I am here to say that there are still some things with kids, right? My youngest just graduated from college and we were at her ceremony. And as we were leaving, she's preparing to go to grad school. And so we started talking about what does the move look like because it's out of state and all of these different things. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's the week I actually have clients traveling that I try to make sure that I'm completely available. And what does that look like? And then she called and we had a conversation. And I was like, well, would you like me to come help you pack? And she said, that would be great. So now, like, I have all these extra things, in which, of course, I don't want to miss. But yeah, I definitely think I had the assumption that I would have more time than
Mm.
I really do. Um, And I still have another one in college, and they will graduate at the end of the year, and they will be moving home for a while, and so that's going to be another change. And again, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that and helping my kids. But yeah, so that's going to be another challenge. And I would like to add one more. It's okay.
Yes.
And that is that my husband has mandatory retirement at
Oh,
65, being a commercial airline pilot, and I am 11 years younger. So he is getting ready to retire, whereas I feel like I just finally started figuring things out.
that's come up before, Sarah. People talk about it as I'm gearing up, as my husband or friends are gearing down.
Yeah. Well, and from my perspective, I spent my whole life raising kids. I had my first child when I was 21. Um,
Oh,
I spent all this time raising 4 kids, and it was amazing and the best time of my life. But now I think retire. Like, I don't, I even just said to my husband the other day, what if I never want to retire?
yeah.
And he did say, he said, well, that he had felt that way as well. And he's like, it might change for you and it might not. But he is very similar. He's not someone that's just going to be sitting around. But still, we have seen some areas where we're talking about things that we want or different things. And it's like, oh wow, we're not completely aligned because our these big moments that we have in our life right now are very different.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. The other thing is he's not retired yet. So once he wrestles with his identity of what retirement is and what he wants, you never know where he'll end up. And also, as we age, I mean, I've interviewed well over 100 women on this topic now, and most entrepreneurs are not talking about retirement that I've interviewed, but they're coming up with different ways to um, well, I call it develop a midlife operating system that suits them at this age and stage in life. So sometimes it's cherry picking the parts of their business that they love the most and focusing on them, or making a schedule that truly works with what you want, maybe starting later or only working 3 days, or having seasons where you're not working at all. But there are different ways to reimagine retirement. It doesn't mean that you need to just sit in a rocking chair and learn how to crochet or
Right.
perfect your crochet.
Right. No, that is so true. We have those options, especially as entrepreneurs. I tend to be more of a workaholic. So probably also I'm my own challenge in that. And
Mm,
that, I want to spend time writing or doing SEO or talking to my clients or research. There's so many different aspects that I love. And I do have a little bit of this time is going way too fast feeling of
yeah.
like running out of time.
Yeah, that time sensitivity, time urgency, that's really common, and it's completely the way you choose to think about it. So why do you think you're focusing on running out of time versus the time that you have?
That's a really good question. I would say that it's primarily because I've spent so much of my life focusing on everyone else and probably the realization of the amount of time I didn't spend focusing on myself. And so then it creates this feeling of, oh gosh, all these years, you could have been writing, Sarah. You could have been doing these things. But no, I think that's a good rephrase. That's a good something I'll definitely think about when I had those thoughts.
So on this show, I love talking about both your personal midlife journey and your business journey. So especially where they intersect, that makes me very excited to take a look at all of this. How do you think being an older woman affects being an entrepreneur and vice versa? You talked a little bit about it, but with being older, have you noticed anything else? And I say older with full respect because we know we are older and wiser.
Right. Just a little seasoned, right? Well, I mean, I think there's some positives. I think I definitely have a lot more confidence. I have traveled by myself. I've been in Paris by myself, wandering around. I have been in Ireland by myself. I'm getting ready to go back to Ireland for a week by myself. Those things are extremely empowering
Love
and
that.
things that I probably wouldn't have allowed myself to do when the kids were home because there would have been this level of guilt or responsibility or feeling like I needed to be here. So there's definitely that aspect. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's also that wisdom, like you said that, like it is the wisdom because I am spending a lot of time writing. I've got a blog that I am really nurturing and I have a lot of articles and things that I'm pitching in the background. And a lot of it is centered on being a woman in her 50s, basically rediscovering herself. Because for some of these trips, when I was walking down the Paris streets and I was looking at all, the buildings and the Eiffel Tower, and I was overcome with this emotion of how proud 21-year-old Sarah would be of me right now. Because at 21, when I got pregnant, it was a surprise. It was not a planned pregnancy. And I was in college, and so everything changed. So now, uh, you know, feeling like all of kind of the repercussions, and of course, having a baby was amazing, but there were a lot of things I missed out on. And being able to walk, like I said, through Paris, or even planning this week-long trip in Ireland, I'm going to a writing conference. Those are things that at that age, if I would have said, okay, but it's going to be okay because you're still going to get all of these things, you're still going to be able to have these experiences. Um, yeah, I think 21-year-old Sarah would be really happy with me.
Oh, I just love thinking about 21-year-old Sarah.
Yeah.
And I love that you had that epiphany, that insight, that connection while you were walking around in a place that you dreamed of, you know? That's so sweet. There's more than one blog in that.
Yeah, for sure. For
Now, what
sure.
would you like to do next in your business? What is like the big thing that you would really love to do?
It's hard because I feel like right now I'm doing so many of them. Definitely more of I still am, obviously nothing's changing as far as like supporting clients and doing those things. But one of the things that brings me a lot of passion is writing. So even being able to, I also host my own groups. So I have 4 trips in the books right now. And I would love to be able to take each experience and write. And maybe it's a short story and maybe it's something, because the ultimate goal with my business is to connect women with each other and women from the past. So a big focus that I have on my own group trips are like going back and studying the Celtic witches, or even the Scotland witch trials. That's a big one. We're getting ready to go to Scotland, or Mary Queen of Scots, or these historical figures that we don't spend a lot of time talking about, maybe because it's not pop culture or whatever might be in the news. But they were so resilient. I talk about that a lot with my husband, actually. When I was in Ireland last year and I went through the Dublin Castle, within the Dublin Castle, they have pictures of all the different presidents that they've had. And right now I don't remember the number of women, but it was, I believe, more than one. And one of them, I believe, was maybe in the 90s or early 2000s. And I remember standing there and thinking, wow, like we don't see that in the US. We've not had that. And so it was another level of empowerment, but also of what's possible. And I think as women, if you're busy in your day to day, or, and all the different things can be happening at this stage, maybe caring for parents, or, um, you know, your husband just retired, he's home all the time and it's irritating. I don't know. Like all of these different things, right? That could be going on. It's just the possibility when you travel that you get to experience and see things about people that went before you. And sometimes they're further along than maybe your own experience. I hope that makes sense, because
Yeah.
that's what I felt when I saw those images of the presidents in Ireland. Like,
No, I love that. And I also like it's clear that you are marrying different passionate areas of your life. So the historians with the travel and making just really helping inform your plans and your creativity
yeah,
with things that you really love. And that's beautiful. Like how freeing is that? How entrepreneurial is that, you know? I like to think about the podcast as being one of the most creative things I've ever done.
yeah,
And when I first grew up thinking about creativity, I certainly didn't, well, there were no podcasts way back in the day, but I wasn't thinking of anything that wasn't classical, art in some way. And it's really a creative thing, just to create
yeah,
something that didn't exist before. Your personal
absolutely.
flavor on these retreats, your own retreats. And I thought you were going to say that you might host a writing retreat at some point, the way you were talking. I wondered about
Oh,
that.
I haven't thought of that. I just kind of got the chills when you said that. Maybe that is something that's in the future.
I actually
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say it, like, I really
Yeah.
thought that
Yeah,
just felt like
no.
something that was gonna come right out and be a really nice natural fit for you. Well, good. Think about that.
Yes, I will.
What would you say is surprising about being a midlife woman over 50 and an entrepreneur?
Mm, how much fun it is. I really didn't expect to be having that much fun at this stage, even with all of the changes and even with some of the challenges and thinking about going in to visit my daughter, seeing where all of my kids have grown and what their lives look like and how much fun all of that is, and the ability to still do what I do that really fuels my soul and makes me feel alive. I really, if somebody would have told me that these were options, I I wouldn't have believed them. You know, because I when I think back to seeing other people work and retire, it's just what you talked about. You know, you work until a certain age, and these are conversations my husband and I have been having a lot lately, which is you work until a certain age, and then you take the retirement package from your company or whatever, and you travel for a while, and you sit in your rocking chair and I don't know, watch news or Gunsmoke. That's what my dad watches, but he's a lot older now. He's been retired for a long time.
Oh, that's so
He
funny.
deserved to watch some Gunsmoke. So
My mom's watching Jeopardy.
okay.
And they're very oh my gosh, they have quite a routine about it too. Like, they have their special chairs, and you're not allowed to call, and oh my goodness. Yeah, it's hilarious. And just as a travel person, what are a few of your favorite places to go?
Ireland is my favorite place. I fell in love with Ireland, and it's funny because I wasn't going to go. It wasn't a place I was that interested in, but I kept seeing people go there, and I thought, you know, I bet it is easy because they speak English, and they have an agreement with the US, so getting in and out through custom, it's just like going through the TSA, it's super easy. But I wasn't prepared for how beautiful it was and how down to earth the people were. I just felt really comfortable there. Um, when I saw this writing workshop in Northwestern Ireland, which I have not been to, it was a no-brainer. It was like an immediate register. I actually love Savannah, Georgia. That is another place I'm going to be hosting. I've hosted a retreat there in the past. But Savannah, Georgia, again, it's anything that's full of history and culture really
Yeah.
just is my vibe. And
Oh, I went to Savannah once, I loved it, it's magical.
it is. And they have great restaurants and the history there. And then from a spiritual standpoint of, you know, the connection with energy is really strong. And yeah, I love Savannah, Georgia. But yeah, I would say those two places actually are probably my favorite.
Super fun, super fun. And the other thing, if I just think about what you've done, is you really have changed your business a few times. I wanted
Mm,
to ask you about fear.
mm.
I'm full of fear. So when I heard, and understood what you did and the changes you made right away, I thought, oh, that would be so hard for me because I'm so afraid. Did fear come up for you when you were making those decisions?
No, not at all.
Interesting.
Not at all. But when I think about all the like the kind of the psychology tests or the things I've had done in corporate life and the DISC assessment and those kinds of things, I have a really high entrepreneurial spirit and I am a really high D, so very dominant. And I think the image at the time, I remember kind of thinking this makes so much sense. This was back in like 2008, the first time I took it. But I remember the image being a man walking through a brick wall. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's pretty much me. I'm like my husband's nightmare because he is like planning things out and everything's like this and you don't and I'm like, no, we're gonna do this and this is how it's gonna be. No, it was easy. And I actually think that the whole, like, if I look at it from like 29 or 2019 and what I was doing, you know, coaching, kind of life coach, spiritual coach, really, again, helping women get in touch with their intuition. And then I moved into the marketing place, but that was creative and that was helping women. And that was just tapping into that analytical side. But I know that it's travel, so it's like a totally different industry, but it's still all the same at the root.
Yeah.
It's still supporting women and empowering them and just having fun with them and connecting. It's really all the same. It's just in a different container.
Yeah. More of the same. Yeah, that's great. Sarah,
Mhm.
this has been so fun. Thank you so much. How can people get a hold of you?
Yes. So I am. mostly on my personal Facebook account, which is just my name, Sarah Magnoni. I also have an Instagram, Girls Go Travel Trips.
And I hear you have a blog?
Yes, yes. So my blog is on my website, and you can get there. It's on Harmony Travel Collective, and within there, there's stories of my own experiences. There are guides. There's itineraries. So if you're planning your own trip, if you want to know what it's like to drive in Ireland, when I was in Ireland, I drove. So there's all kinds of information. I just combine my own stories and experiences as well as my clients, and then add in the tips and guides that you can go in there and grab for free.
Wow, so it's a huge resource.
Yes.
Amazing. Sarah, thank you so much. This was fun. I love thinking about travel. I love thinking about retreats. And I love thinking about transition and how we're doing it at our age and stage and rocking it, I might add. So thanks so much for taking the time to hang with me. I really appreciate your ability to change and to honor your passions.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun.
All right, that's it for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would like to also come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We'd love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It is never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick, before we say goodbye, if you're connecting with this show because midlife challenges are also making it harder for you to run your business and your life the way you want to, I am thrilled we've connected here. If you're just not as happy and fulfilled as you'd hoped you'd be, I want to invite you to apply for the Women in the Middle Academy. It's my 12-month midlife coaching program and community where you'll have fun creating your path to getting unstuck, gaining clarity, and stepping into the life you've always wanted. If you're ready to stop waiting and start living, then the Women in the Middle Academy is where you are meant to be. Head over to www.womeninthemiddleacademy.com. Talk soon.